This is our bingo board of the day. Again, 5 across any direction. Send a message to Grace and she will tell you what you have won the right to do. I'm going to tell you right now because my mom's actually here. If you get a bingo, you can ask my mom to tell you any embarrassing or weird story about me, or you can ask me to tell you a fun personal anecdote or story from literally anywhere at the American Museum of Natural History in New York. And I do believe New York City and American Museum of Natural History are on the bingo board. Wow, you got 2 in the left side column already. A great start. Also, speaking of starts, you guys, you know, get your pens out, get your Procreate applications ready. Boom, this is our not dino of the day. This is it. This is Megatherium. Megatherium is the largest of the extinct ground sloths. We are talking about extinct animals that are not dinosaurs today. This is one of my favorites. This is Megatherium, an extinct species of giant ground sloth for a little bit of size. And when we say giant, we mean giant because, wow, these guys were enormous. So this is it. This is our dino of the day. This is Megatherium. We have lots of special guest experts today because much like we did with the roast, we're going to have different people share their favorite extinct non-dinosaur animals. But before we do that, we obviously have to play dino or not a dino. Again, I forgot to choose who's going to play. So Christina, can you help me out here? Who do we think we should get to play dino or not a dino today?
For sure. So yesterday, remember your mom crushed it with the shampoo theme.
She really did. She really did.
And we have selected via Sharon, Catherine.
Catherine Levinson.
Yes.
Catherine, haven't you played once before though? No, you haven't played. Oh, no, I thought you haven't played. Then this is great. It's time. Oh, there's Max. Max is also a bingo board. Wow, we're really crushing the bingo squares today.
In your camera? Catherine hasn't played, and Catherine also, huge shout out, who stays up late almost every single night to watch us all the way from Australia. So I hope you're not too tired to win Dino Not a Dino right now.
And I hope none of you...
I currently sleep at like 6, and then I get up at about 12, and then so I'm sort of on your time.
I love this.
But, you know.
Catherine, can you show us your sweater a little? Because I think that's a penguin. Heck yeah. Penguin awesome. Sweater. Yeah. Speaking of small, cute animals, just real quick, there is a cat way up top, up there somewhere. You probably can see, and that is Maya. So Maya's a bingo board. All right, here we go. Catherine, are you ready to play dino or not a dino?
Oh, yeah.
All right, here's how this works. I'm going to read you the name of 10 different animals, some of which are dinosaurs, some of which are not dinosaurs, because I totally made them up. Your job is simply to tell us if it's a dinosaur or if it is not a dinosaur. If you need help phoning a friend, looking around the audience, everyone is going to help you with thumbs up or thumbs down. I think at this point, we've started to figure out which are the best people to look at and which maybe are just throwing up guesses, but I'll leave that to you.
Martin, where's him? I'm gonna find him.
Find Martin. Martin's like our resident expert here. If you need a spelling, I'm happy to spell any of these. I might just do that on my own anyway because it might be helpful. All right, here we go. Let's dig in. Number 1, Dollionator. Dollionator. The hush falls over the crowd.
I'm gonna go no because there's lots of thumbs down. Let's start no.
You're going Dollionators no. You know, some people start pretty well, and you're one of them. You're 1 for 1. That is a dinosaur. Correct. Well done. All right, number 2. Liaoceratops. Liaoceratops.
I'm going to say yes.
You're going to say yes, and you are correct. 2 for 2. Great start. Liaoceratops is a dinosaur. Next, Irisopteryx. Irisopteryx. Christina's got a thumbs down.
Seeing lots of thumbs down, so I'm going to say no, it's not.
Wow. 3 for 3. Irisopteryx is not a dinosaur. I'm glad you stayed up late. Number 4, Ned Colbertia. Ned Colbertia.
How did you spell that?
Nedcolbertia. Ned Colbertia.
No.
Oof.
No. As in, you're incorrect. Ned Colbertia is a dinosaur named for a famous paleontologist whose last name was Colbert. As your first incorrect answer, Womp womp. You are 3-1. That is 4.
Okay.
Number 5, Liliops. Liliops.
Oh, very, very strong thumbs down. So no.
You're going no. All right, that is correct. You are now 4-1. I don't know if you've been able to start to discern the theme for our not dinos, but just keep that in mind. There's a theme for the not dinos, but you're 4-1. You're doing great. Next, Protohadros.
That sounds like it should be. Yeah.
Yes, it literally means the first hadrosaur. So yes, Protohadros is a dino. And you're 5-1, crushing the game, even though it's the middle of the night for you. Here we go. Next, Begonichus.
No.
Emphatic no. Wow, you're right. You're 6-1 now. Well done. All right, we got 3 more. We're in the home stretch. You've hit 60%, so you've already won. But you should shoot for the 90. I think you should shoot for the 80. Here we go. Next, Savannasaurus.
Yes.
100%
yes.
Why are you so emphatic about that?
Because of this.
Yes, Savannasaurus is an Australian dinosaur. I should have included Muttaburrasaurus, but I didn't, which is just fun to say. That's another Australian dino.
Yeah.
All right, so now you are 7-1. 2 more to go. Urbicodon. Not a lot of help.
Like, I want to get my book out, but yes. Let's go yes.
Yeah.
Martin's got the two thumbs, so yes.
Yes, absolutely. I can't remember. I feel like that was a Russian or some strange anyway, yes, Urbicodon is a dinosaur. You've gotten 8 right, 1 wrong. To hit 90%, this is your last one. This is going to separate the wheat from the chaff. Here we go. 1-in-100 Flowersaurus.
No,
that is not a dinosaur. You are correct. You've got 9 out of 10. Your not dinos were all different types of flowers, like Dahlianator, Irisopteryx, Liliops, Begonia, and obviously 100 Flowersaurus. You crushed it, Catherine. 9 out of 10.
Yes.
Congratulations.
I think I'll go grab a drink.
What?
I'll grab a drink.
Yeah, it's really nice for you. You can have whatever you want. So tomorrow we have a special guest expert who's going to play, but the next time we do not have a special guest expert, which will be this week. You're choosing who gets to play next. So, if you guys want to play, send a message to Catherine right now. Tell her why she's amazing, and maybe she'll pick you to play next time. Thanks, Catherine. Also, again, love the penguin sweater. All right, Christina, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you to talk about extinct not dinosaurs today?
Oh, I can't wait. I think dinos, obviously we love them. That's why we're all here. Yeah. But there were other critters that went extinct too. And they're underrated. And I can't wait to nerd out about them.
For sure. Every single time period in the history of Earth has had lots of different groups of animals alive at the same time. And so today we're going to talk about a lot of those that are now extinct, that are still near and dear to our hearts. Except for, it's funny though, because we're going to start actually with Jada. And I thought this actually wasn't extinct. So Jada, why don't you take it away? Because everyone tells me Megalodon is still around. What's the deal with that, Jada?
Megalodon is definitely dead. If there was still one out there, we would have found it by now. And though I know that the ocean is vast and we haven't discovered most of it, but no, we would have found a Megalodon. This is like Bigfoot. We would have found Bigfoot by now too. And it's fine. The movie The Meg, by the way, if you haven't seen it, was a great monster movie, but horribly inaccurate for literally so many reasons. But
very entertaining.
It's a good monster movie, yeah. But that's me standing inside a megalodon jaw at the National Museum of Natural History at the Smithsonian. So
I wanted to put these side by side to kind of do like a who wore it better type of situation.
I wore it better. I wore it with way more excitement.
Exactly. Look at this dude who wears like a 3-piece suit with like a tie buttoned up to his neck. That way when you're, no,
exactly.
You got it.
And yes, Megan's right. For reference, I'm like 5'6", 5'6". So, but we're not exactly sure about how big the megalodon was, but we know that it was most likely bigger than the largest living fish now, which is the whale shark. Whale sharks get to be about 40 feet long, and megalodons, we believe, got to be up to 60 feet long or 18 meters, or even up to 80 feet long or 25 meters long. So if you can imagine like a great white shark, but like 5 times that size, then you have a megalodon. That's terrifying. But it'd be so cool, in my opinion. They were the largest predatory fish today is the great white shark, and they're max 21 feet long. So just a huge size difference that's so terrifying. But we know that the megalodon was definitely a carnivore, judging by their teeth and the teeth of all these other sharks that are out here that only eat meat. These guys were predatory, not filter feeders like the whale shark or the basking shark, whatever. They were for sure predatory, and these teeth are so huge. Their name megalodon literally translates to big tooth. So their average tooth size was around 4 to 5 inches long, or 10 to 13 centimeters, but the largest fossilized teeth are over 7 inches long. That's insane. That's ridiculous. That's more than half a foot. How big would you say that tooth is?
This is about, I would say that's around that size, about 6-7 inches.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So they had about 276 teeth in about 5 rows, and they're constantly replacing them, just like sharks today. We don't really know like the rate at which they were replacing their teeth, but they replaced them anytime they fell out within about 24 to 48 hours. And we find so many fossilized teeth because they lived for a period of about 13 million years. And if a single megalodon can go through between 30,000 and 40,000 teeth in a lifetime, you're bound to find so many teeth out there.
That's a lot of teeth.
That's a lot of teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these guys were definitely kind of worldwide in specifically tropical ranges. They've been found in places like North and South America, Europe, Africa, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Jamaica, Canary Islands, Australia, literally everywhere that is currently within like that tropical belt of the earth. Super widespread. They would just follow whales and dolphins and large fish and probably other sharks around to completely destroy them, because that's what they did. That's awesome. I think it's awesome.
Megalodon is awesome. And let me correct me if I'm wrong. I've learned that they lived for like around 13 million years, worldwide distribution, tons and tons of teeth, and that they're probably still around, and you might see one if you go to the beach, right? No.
No.
Apparently that is a big rumor on the internet that Megalodon is still around. It is not, but like you mentioned, we have the movie, which is great.
Yeah, and they have a theory for how they went extinct.
Tell us.
So they lived from like 15 million years ago to about 2.6 million years ago. So all things considered, relatively recently. Yeah. And they went extinct at the end of the Pliocene era, however you want to say that. And the main theory for how they went extinct is that as the earth was cooling, either the water temperatures got too cold and they died, or all of their prey items started moving towards the poles, or and like adapted to that colder environment, and they couldn't follow their prey, so they died out.
We just don't know. Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Jada. We're going to keep moving because we have a lot of people to get through. Megan, you have something that I would say is almost like the opposite of Megalodon. What is the name of it before I bring up your picture here?
I think it's pronounced Adalatherium.
Oh, that sounded great.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about this. And I guess the opposite thing is kind of an interesting point, because, you know, I think when we're talking about megafauna, we're thinking of these really, really huge creatures, but megafauna just is the large mammals of a time. And this guy was about the size of a cat, which was about the largest that any known mammals were during the time of the dinosaurs. It was actually just discovered. I don't know when they found the skeleton exactly, but the announcement came the same day this past week as the one about the Spinosaurus being adapted for water. So it kind of got overshadowed. I didn't see this until the next day. I think one of my friends sent it to me. But yeah, the name actually means crazy beast, which kind of, at first thought, you're like, okay, they just like, we're like, whoa, this is crazy. That's a cop-out name. But really, it's got this really unique skeleton, which they found pretty much intact. And like it has apparently more holes in its face than any known mammal. A lot of these were for nerves and blood vessels, but it also had one at the top of its snout there's no parallel in any other mammal for that. And the teeth are super different from any mammal that we know of, and the backbone has more vertebrae than any Mesozoic mammal. And so they're comparing it to a badger, but I think basically they don't actually think it's related to the badger. It just kind of resembled one. So they may have been a powerful digger. It's the type of animal that it is a Gondwanatherian. Gondwana was an ancient supercontinent. And basically they broke off. They were found in Madagascar, or this was, I can't say they, because they've only found one. But basically that Madagascar detached around 88 million years ago. And so it had, the animals on there had about 20 million years isolated from mainland populations to develop, as they put it, its many ludicrous features. So it's
most
very
importantly,
exciting.
Megan, though, most importantly, it is cute as shit. It is incredibly cute. Look at these guys.
We love him. He would not be roasted.
No, I was going to say, like, we roasted some pretty ugly dinos yesterday, but this guy, maybe top 10 cutest. Well, that's not a dino, but yeah, incredibly cute. But also pretty small, right? You said how big?
Like the size of a cat, which is small, except for the fact that most, like pretty much almost all mammals that lived during the time of the dinosaurs were like mouse or shrew sized.
Yeah.
So, I mean, vastly larger than those, which I think it's crazy that there were so many huge creatures, and like mammals are so thriving now, but they just like didn't do that well then.
Well, as time went on, they grew a little bit larger and some grew a lot scarier, which is a segue to James. So James, it almost looks like you're blending into the animal behind you, which is incredible. What is that behind you? Is that a wombat?
That's a wombat.
Okay. But you're not talking about wombats because wombats are still around. James, what is the extinct non-dinosaur you're going to tell us about?
Yes, I'm going to tell you about THYLACOLEO, which translates to marsupial lion. So it's the biggest predatory marsupial, which is an animal that has its young in its pouch. Now, it looks pretty cute and fluffy there, but, well, I want to focus on these big claws it's got because, well, they're splayed out to the side and they're almost like thumbs. They're semi-opposable thumbs, and thumbs are really underrated. Thumbs are great. You know, you're all holding coffee cups or what have you. You know, we can grasp things. Thumbs are probably one of the things that's led to our success as a species. THYLACOLEO's got these big thumbs with semi-retractable claws, and well, it's really quite interesting because it would have been good to grasp prey, but also climb. And so there's this story that Australians like telling tourists about drop bears, which are these koala-like things which are supposed to jump out of trees and maim hapless tourists. But they were real. You and I just missed them by about 50,000 years or so.
That was going to be my question. So we're talking exclusively in Australia until about 50,000 years ago. Do we know when they first appeared? They started out as little possumy things maybe about 26 million years ago. Okay. They
gradually evolved to be larger apex predators.
So about the size of a leopard or a jaguar here.
Yeah, and the leopard analogy is really interesting. That's something I was going to talk about myself because, that doesn't look too impressive there, the size of the creature. They're about 2.5 feet tall, maybe about 5 feet long. But, that is about the same size as a jaguar, and you wouldn't want to mess with a jaguar, nor would you want a jaguar to mess with you.
No.
These were also much more bulky, though. The average size of a ordinary jaguar tops out, I think, about 220 pounds.
Okay.
That's the start of the size range for the average THYLACOLEO. They got up to about 280. The skull, too, is really quite interesting. That's the thing I love to point out. It's got this really broad skull and these massive cheekbones. It's really quite bizarre. behind your cheekbones, what goes there. If you hold your temples, you can feel your jaw muscles move. They've got this huge space. I can fit 3 or 4 fingers up behind the cheekbones. Wow. Massive quarter jaw muscles, putting a huge amount of bite pressure down on these weird bolt cutter shaped teeth they've got. They'll be used for slicing their prey.
I love these guys. Well, because it's not the only crazy Australian megafauna that is now extinct. In fact, I think we're going to have 3 maybe on our list today because, I mean, I don't have to tell you, James, Australia is an amazing place for animals today, and it has been an amazing place for animals for a very long time because of the interesting environment and the isolation as an island. So also wombats, James, can you tell everyone the one fun fact that everyone has to know about wombats since there's one behind you?
Yeah, well, they've got square poo.
They've got square poo.
Cuboidal poo.
They poop little cubes. True story. Look that up. James, thank you so much for teaching us about THYLACOLEO, the marsupial lion. And we all love big cats, obviously, especially if your name is Carol Baskin. So I thought we'd have more than one big cat on our list today, which means it is time for Danelle. Hey, Danelle. Hi.
Hey.
Hi, good morning. Is it morning where you are? It is, right? Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So Danelle, you are going to tell us about your favorite big cat. Take it away. I'm going to show your pictures in a minute.
Okay, and I'll prompt you when to switch the slides because
sure.
I have a surprise for all you Ohioans. Okay, so actually my favorite extinct animal is the brontosaurus. I didn't have one outside of dinosaurs, but young Max Growick was extremely, go back a slide.
Oh, what? Bacchus? You don't want us to see this yet?
No.
Sorry.
I'll tell you. In true Dino 101 fashion, we have a human being for scale. I'm talking about saber-toothed cats, more specifically saber-toothed tigers. Like I said, very inspired by young Max Growick.
Wait, by the way, Danelle, just so people know, Max is my brother, and I'm gonna show that at the end of your.
Right.
Go ahead.
Super excited about that. So I kept coming across the word SMILODON, and I was like, what's the difference between SMILODON and saber-toothed tiger? Sciencey term for the saber-toothed tiger is the SMILODON. So kids, if you're out on the schoolyard eventually again in life and you want to seem like the smarty pants, it's a SMILODON. Same animal that you saw in Ice Age. These guys existed during the Pleistocene era, and they existed about 1.8 million years ago, but went extinct about 10,000 years ago. So they existed with modern day human beings, and they were primarily found in Europe, so on the continent where the Queen lives, to help you figure that out. The other continent they were commonly found on is North America, where many of us are tuning in from, and more specifically, they were found a lot here in Southern California where I live. So if you ever get the chance to visit the La Brea tar pits, they have found many a saber-toothed tiger, skeleton, fossil rather, there. And it turns out that the saber-toothed tiger is the official fossil of California. If you will go to the next slide. All states have an official fossil. Didn't know that. And for all the Ohioans and the Growick clan, I have found you your official state fossil, which, Dustin, if you can, I don't think I know how to pronounce it. It is Isotelus, Isotelortlus.
Which is a type of trilobite. So
yes.
Just like saber-toothed cat, SMILODON, Isotelus, trilobite. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, like, super exciting night.
During our time together doing these Dino 101s, I've now learned the official Ohio fossil as well as the official Ohio beverage. Does anyone remember?
Is it Mountain Dew?
No, well, for me it is. No, tomato juice. Apparently tomato juice is the official beverage of the state of Ohio.
This comes down to like obscure holidays. So we'll go to the next slide.
Wow.
So I'm super excited that I happened to find this one, and it turns out that the theme of the animal of the day was the large ground sloth. We'll get to this in a second. So here's the thing about saber-toothed cats. Any saber-toothed animal which still exists today, walruses, that's a saber-toothed animal. Saber-toothed animals are categorized by their large canines that once they close their mouth, their large canines are still hanging outside of their mouth. So the thing is, those saber-toothed teeth are really intimidating, but the fact is, for saber-toothed tigers, their bite force was incredibly weak, and to quote a Nat Geo article, quite wimpy when compared with the modern-day lion. Turns out modern-day tigers have a way more powerful bite force than the modern-day lions, so I'm not sure why the comparison went from tigers to lions, but basically their bite force was that of a pit bull. So what the speculation was is that they used their neck when killing their prey and their strong upper bodies. So they'd like grab, I'm so sorry, this is gonna look awkward. They would like grab their prey and put their neck into it. So like they couldn't just chomp down. They had to like really get into it and use their neck muscles.
You can do it, put your neck into it.
Facts. And then lastly, what caused them to go extinct? Sort of similar to what Jada discussed. They believe that an extinction level event changed the temperature that led to a change in vegetation, which meant that it directly affected their prey and the things they ate, such as bison, deer, and everyone's favorite avocado advocates, the large ground sloth. And that's saber-toothed tigers. So to quote young Max, they bite and they kill. Facts.
They bite and they kill. Facts. So I'm glad that we brought up Max. The reason why, you guys, I wanted to make sure we included SMILODON and why we've mentioned my brother twice is because I came across an old video of him at about age 4, dressed, well, I'll let you decide what he's dressed like, but just spitting a song that is just straight facts about saber-toothed cats. So this is a 30-second rendition from my brother, Max Growick. I think maybe age 4 or so. We'll see. And I've checked in with our big cat specialist, Imogene Cancelari. She said that this is all factually accurate. Without further ado, please enjoy the musical stylings of a 4-year-old Max Growick. Yeah.
Is he playing a violin?
He is. I don't know what he's playing there, but you know.
I think that was a violin.
May have been a violin. That's his famous saber-toothed tiger song. All right, so we've hit saber-toothed tigers. Oh, now I'm very excited to talk about two animals that may have encountered and interacted with saber-toothed cats because they're around at the same time in the same places. M. Where's M? M. Let's see if M sheds at least one single tear as she tells us about mastodons and mammoths. Take it away, M.
Yes. I love mastodons and mammoths, and I did poll my Twitter followers whether or not I would cry talking about them because I love them so much. As we talked about a second ago, trilobites are the state fossil of Ohio, but my gateway fossil was the American mastodon. Can you go back?
Sure. I just want to show this because you're wearing this on your shirt.
Oh,
right now.
I am.
Okay.
This is my favorite shirt.
This one,
so
right?
Dustin, thank you. This is a diorama at the Cincinnati Museum Center, which was the museum that I still go to now. This was my gateway fossil. This is an American mastodon that has fallen into some water at Big Bone Lick State Park, which is in northern Kentucky.
Wait, excuse me. Did you say Big Bone Lick State Park? Okay.
I did say Big Bone Lick State Park. Yeah. So want to talk about Big Bone Lick State Park for a second. So it is the first place in American history where a serious paleontological dig took place to dig up American mastodons, because there were, for some reason, a ton of them there. So if you go to the next slide, please. Oh, sorry. Can you go to the slide with the 3 of them together? Thank you. So in terms of their sweet, sweet bods, mammoths and mastodons are a little bit easy to confuse. So let me clarify that for a second. The smallest animal in this picture is the American mastodon. You can tell that it's a mastodon because it has shorter leggies and longer bods. And mammoths, which are the biggest animal in this picture, are about the same size, like average, as an African elephant, which is the animal in the middle. But they can get way bigger and they have way curlier tusks than the American mastodon. Can you go to the tooth picture?
Yeah.
Thank you. So here's another way to tell them apart. They have really different teeth. So mastodon means breast tooth. because it has these weird protrusions in the tooth that help them to eat leaves and tree branches because they were browse eaters. And mastodons have flatter teeth that allowed them to eat like grass and soft plants.
Mammoths.
A lot like modern elephants. Okay. Can you go to the mummy picture?
Boom.
Thank you. So mammoths were super well adapted to the cold, and they coexisted with modern humans. Why we know that they had fur and like lived in the cold is because mummified mammoths are not uncommon to find just around in Siberia where they lived, and they can actually contribute to the economy of Siberians for some reason. This little baby is named Lubya, but National Geographic called her Ice Ice Baby, and that is why I started really loving mastodons. And this was a really important discovery because she still had food in her tummy, which taught us a lot about the diet of woolly mammoths. And weird fact, mammoths didn't go extinct until the Great Pyramids of Giza were already 1,000 years old. Mind blown. The last photo I have to share is these skeletons. And yes, I did force my family to go on vacation to Paris to see these. The mastodon that is in this picture was found approximately 20 minutes from where I am right now. And it was given to the country of France as a goodwill gesture by Thomas Jefferson. And that is mastodons and mammoths.
And you didn't even cry.
And I did not cry.
Do we have to remind you they're extinct? There are no more of them. Will that help? No. That was great. Thank you. I love showing those teeth because, like, you're right. These are very similar looking animals, but the teeth are very different. And it's like, oh, this is how two very similar animals lived in the same place at the same time, exploiting very different food resources. Also, whoever named this boob tooth, that dude had never actually seen a boob. Okay. Moving on to Christina. Christina, are you ready?
I'm ready.
I have to find your square. I lost you. Oh, well.
Should I spotlight myself?
There you are. You can do that. I got you. Boom. Christina, so what are you going to talk about today?
I'm going to tell you about ammonites.
Ammonites? That is a whole group of animals, Christina. That's not one specific one.
I know.
We make the rules here, though, so we can do what we want, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Like Dustin said, talk about one species and send me 3 pictures. I'm going to talk about a whole group of animals, and I sent at least 5 pictures. So I wanted to share some of these pictures with you. I took these. These are some ammonites from the American Museum of Natural History in New York City. And these are probably from around dino time in the Mesozoic. So this is what they look like fossilized. Oh, Lena has one. Yes, Lenosaurus Rex.
Yeah, we forgot to show Lena's mastodon or mammoth tusks, but she's got an ammonite, so she's pulling a 2-for-1. Nice.
Amazing. Oh, I love it. Yeah, so these are some pretty little ones, and you can think of these like an octopus in a shell. They're more closely related to an octopus or a cuttlefish, but you can think of also the modern nautilus. And yeah, go ahead and click to the next one. This is one of my favorite images. Ceratosaurus, probably. This is from the fossil collections at AMMONITES. And this would have been from a little bit earlier. This would have been Ordovician, so like 490 million years old before they got swirly. Yes, Martin. Yes. Love it. So something I learned, I didn't know this before I was doing research at the museum on these. I thought they were always swirly, but the previous ones were coney boys. Look at that cone-shaped shell.
Coney boys.
Yeah. And then as geologic time marched forward, the same structures that existed inside the shell stayed there, but the shape of the shell just changed. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what is absolutely incredible about these. The animal only lives in the first chamber of the shell, and then the rest are filled with gas or air and help it regulate where it is in the water column.
So cool.
Which I think, yeah, if you look at the next image, you might navigate yourself away from mosasaur. And in this image, they have the ink coming out like a modern squid or octopus. I don't know if that was the case, but I like that conjecture there. Would you go back to the last one for a second?
This one?
Yeah. So the ones that you're all holding, and then the ones that I have in the first couple of images are hand size, right? Like you could hold on to that. But look at these business guys. They're ready to make a deal with an absolutely gigantic cephalopod.
Are these used cephalopod salespeople?
Yeah, clearly. Yeah. So they're going to use their siphuncle and gas
what?
right away.
Use their what?
Siphuncle. It's the tubing that goes through their shell and helps them regulate where the gas is in their chambers and move up and down in the water column.
I love that name. Siphuncle. That's great.
Siphuncle.
And because M showed this picture from the Comparative Analogy Bone Museum in Paris, I don't have the picture. I forgot to bring it up, but there's a fossil of this like upper size limit ammonite at that same museum. You go stand next to it. It's just bonkers. Bonkers.
I love them.
Love them. Thanks, Christina. I love these two because A, they're very weird and unique and different, and we've been talking about animals that survived for maybe 2 million years here, there, 10 million years. Ammonites were around for over 400 million years ago until the end of the dinosaurs. So about 300 million year lifespan or time that ammonites have been on this planet, which is incredibly long. So clearly they're doing something right that allowed them to survive for that long.
They are, and the modern octopus is a descendant of that. Over time, they went from coney shell to swirly shell. There were some shells that look up Heteroceras. It's like a pretzel shell. And then after dino time, they're like, we don't need this shell anymore. And now they're naked, like an octopus.
Did they have neck meat?
Their whole body is head and feet. So, no.
All right. So this is interesting because normally you're all about the neck meat, but you made an exception to talk about ammonites.
I have diverse interests, Dustin.
That's fair. That's fair. You're right. I don't want to pigeonhole you into being just a neck meat scientist.
I know a lot of things. Okay.
All right. So going from something that's been alive for a very long amount of time, at least it was until the extinction, we're going to move on to something that was alive relatively recently, and it's really freaking weird. And because it's really freaking weird, well, maybe it's really freaking weird because it is from the great continent of Australia. If I can find Kelly, there you are. Kelly, I'm going to bring you to the front. So Kelly, this is an animal that you and I both learned about. I don't think either of us knew about it, and then we learned about it together on a work trip in Australia. Take it away. Oh, you're on mute. Not anymore. Hit it.
I lost my co-host status when I left, so yeah.
Back. Okay, go ahead.
What was the question?
The question was, what is the animal you're going to tell us about? This crazy.
The animal is an animal that I've talked about on this program before. Y'all can't get enough of it, and who could? It's the PROCOPTODON. Whoa!
On the right.
Look at that chest. He looks like Iggy Pop, actually. Like got that loose skin around the stomach. Maybe that's why I like it so much. So this is an extinct ancestor of the kangaroo that lived during the Ice Age. And scientists aren't entirely sure when it went extinct. Probably sometime between 50,000 and 18,000 years ago. Pretty big range there, but yeah, relatively recently. This is perhaps, according to Wikipedia, high-level scientific resource, perhaps the largest hopping mammal to ever have existed. Its large buttocks are also noted. Do we have a good picture of its large buttocks? I don't think so.
I don't have a PROCOPTODON booty shot. I apologize for not prepping.
Yeah, it's important. You should all look that up later. But I'm glad we got the torso view there.
Well, you can see some of it.
The ripped PROCOPTODon.
You see some of its smaller cousin kangaroos there with their booties a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, those aren't as impressive, though. Not noteworthy, I wouldn't say. But you can tell that a thing is a PROCOPTODon, I mean, by its whole deal, but most importantly, by their flat faces and forward-pointing eyes.
Cool.
And in conclusion, can you show I didn't.
Are you ready for it, Kelly?
I'm ready for it. I'm so sorry, everybody. Again, we are so sorry for your dreams tonight.
Kelly, where was this?
This was at the Australian Museum in Sydney.
Yep.
Yep, backstage, they wanted to show us some weird stuff, and they sure did.
Yeah, they're like, yo, do you guys want to see something weird behind the scenes? And we're like, have you met us? Of course we do. And here it is. And if this Jim Henson fever dream isn't haunting you yet, good luck sleeping tonight. Yeah, it's
sorry. It's so beautiful.
It is.
I love him.
Look at that flat face and forward pointing eyes, and imagine the majestic buttocks on that creature.
And imagine the fact that people in Australia, Aboriginal Australians, lived alongside this, as well as THYLACOLEO. As well as, I had to include it, because we're talking about all of these crazy pieces of Australian megafauna, I had to also include our friend here. So this is DIPROTODON, and this is our friend Zach. This is Zach's favorite Australian piece of giant extinct megafauna. Zach is a millennial, as many of us maybe are in this room, and we know that millennials love taking selfies. Can't get enough of this guy, can't get enough of selfies or DIPROTODON. And I bring that up specifically as we transition to our last animal of the day, which is a specific type of giant ground sloth. See, there's Zach again, taking a selfie with some giant ground sloths. Now, there are multiple different species of giant ground sloth. They originated about 35 million years ago, lived until about 5 million years ago. And again, there are a bunch of different species of them, including our dino of the, or not dino of the day, Megatherium. One I want to point out first is, this is us, and by us I mean, there's Zach on the left. He made us take a photo with Lestodon. So this Lestodon behind us is at the American Museum of Natural History. It is another species of extinct giant ground sloth. It's only about 2/3 as big as Megatherium. So here is a bunch of different extinct species of giant ground sloth. Again, they were small, they were big, but the coolest thing about them is that they lived on the ground. So we think about sloths today as being small and living in trees up until, well, relatively recently, almost all sloths on this planet were giant and lived on the ground rather than small and lived in trees. And that is one of the cool things about them, but not, I think, the coolest. There's a couple real cool things I want to share. So first of all, here's an impression or a paleo art rendering of some Megatherium, some giant ground sloth. I want you guys to focus in down there on the bottom on those giant claws. I know James talked about the opposable thumb claws of THYLACOLEO. These are not messing around either. And by not messing around, I don't mean for hunting, but I mean for digging. It wasn't until very recently that we have found enormous, up to 200-foot long, giant ground sloth burrow tunnels, both in South and Central America. So this is what the walls look like, and those walls have the exact impressions from those claws. And when I say they make giant tunnels, I mean they make giant tunnels. Look at this. These are giant tunnels made by extinct ground sloths. And if you wanted a schematic as far as like the process goes by which they dug these, here you go. I love that they have to have number 2. You know, this is hard work. It's a sloth. You got to rest before you go back in. Now, Grace, speaking of rest, Grace, can you tell us why? I'm going to tell the reason why I love them in a minute other than this. But Grace, I know there's one specific reason why you love the giant ground sloth. Can you hit us with it, please?
Sure. So I love them so much because, like the sloths that we know today, they love sleep. And the giant ground sloths were known or presumed to sleep 15 to 17 hours a day, which for me is like an ideal sleeping schedule. So I just really identify so strongly with them.
I like that. Grace, you do sleep a lot. They're sloths. They're going to move around slowly. They're going to sleep a lot. They're going to dig giant tunnels. They're probably not going to be afraid of very many predators because they're huge. But most importantly, for my millennials that are taking selfies and doing all that other millennial stuff, like sleeping and being lazy, if you—
Oh, excuse me. Sleeping and being lazy are two very different things.
Listen, being lazy and sleeping is an amazing adaptation, behavioral adaptation, to be able to consume and conserve energy so that you are being efficient in your caloric consumption. Speaking of caloric consumption, someone is cooking downstairs and the not fire alarm, smoke alarm. Max, can you get that and push the button? He's got it. Nice. Speaking of eating, though, this is why I love giant ground sloths. If you love avocados and guacamole, you have to think of giant ground sloth, because until humans probably hunted them to extinction, they were the primary means of seed dispersals for the avocado. This is a doctored image. This is not a real actual image. It is incredibly cute though. But I wanted to let you guys know that because think about the size of an avocado, right? It's got a giant pit. You need a huge animal to eat that whole thing, move around, poop it out, new plant grows. So sloths, until we probably killed them all, or maybe they died out because of climate change, were the primary means of seed dispersals for avocados. So all you freaking millennials with your avocado toast, your guacamole, next time you have that, thank a giant ground sloth. And that brings us right back to Megatherium, the giant ground sloth, our extinct non-dino animal of the day. We're going to do some Q&A as we go through our paleo art gallery. Also, just a reminder that we do this literally every single day. If you want to support this endeavor, hit us up on Venmo, simply Dustin-Growick. Now, Christina and Grace, you guys want to start shooting me some questions as we go through our paleo art gallery? Friends.
Yeah.
Yes. So first,
I have a question for, oh, sorry, Christina, go ahead.
Lirio got bingo.
Who got bingo?
Lirio.
Oh, very important.
Lirio.
Is my mom here? And can you please chat to my mom to find out, chat to them and let us know what we need to do as we go through the paleo art.
Okay, Grace, go ahead with questions. I'll come back.
Someone has a question for Jada about the, where we're finding these teeth. Are we finding them on land because at one point water was that land, or are these teeth like washing up on shores? These are water animals. So how are we finding their teeth and their bones?
So I think that most of them are being found on land or in like beaches, because the oceans have changed, like where on our continents they're actually covering. So they definitely have found some on land or some near beaches. It just kind of depends on where you go, but they're pretty much everywhere. So yeah.
Quick sidebar. Haley, can you hold that back up again? First of all, I love that Margot included the avocado. I like that Haley did one of the, I forget the name. There's a specific name for when you like split it in half and you have the outside structure and the inside. I love that. I don't think anyone's done that yet in our paleo art galleries. Into it. All right, what other questions we got? That's beautiful. Grace?
I have a question from Britt about THYLACOLEO. How does a semi-opposable thumb differ from a fully opposable thumb?
Great question, Jake. No?
All right, so the thumbs are really fixed 90 degrees to the hand. The digits are really short. So our thumb's got a really broad range of motion. We can do a lot of manipulation with our thumbs. THYLACOLEO would have been stuck grasping things pretty well 90 degrees. A little bit of movement, but yeah. So that would have been pretty effective at a few things, but nowhere near as good as us.
Not quite having the dexterity that we do.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to know, did mastodons and mammoths hang out with each other?
I don't think that they did. Mastodons were mostly in North America. They ranged from North America all the way down to Mexico. And woolly mammoths existed mostly in Europe and Asia. You can find most of them, like I said, in Siberia. So I think maybe there's a chance that they could have hung out together around the land bridge between Russia and Alaska, but I feel like there wasn't much overlap.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too sure. I actually have no idea. I don't
know.
Yeah, I'm not sure the exact.
They're often like displayed. I know AMMONITES display. They're like look like they're hanging out with each other. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Lirio has gotten back to me to claim the prize for winning bingo, and has chosen some sort of hybrid. It's just a personal question. He would like to know, Dustin, do you have any tattoos, and would you let your brother give you one?
Great question. I do not have any tattoos. Max took them all. So I don't know if people know this. There's a finite number. You have a max per family, the number of tattoos your entire close relatives can have. And Max took all of them, so no one else gets any in our family.
So that's why you wouldn't let him give you one?
Listen, if I ever got a tattoo, obviously Max would give me a tattoo. And we're talking about this, by the way, because Max is a very talented artist and tattoo artist. If you want to follow him, he's Max_tattoos on Instagram.
And now Lirio has a marsupial question.
Yeah, hit it.
For the marsupial experts, are marsupials considered a lower evolved form of mammals or just different?
Well, did you say a lower evolved?
Yes.
I'm not sure exactly what you mean by lower evolved. Like other mammals have evolved farther?
Yeah, perhaps like they're further back on the evolutionary tree. Or is that just not the case?
I think marsupials evolved after like mammals as we know them, right? I wouldn't say it's like more or less. There's no like better or more or less evolved. It's whatever works in nature for that particular environment. But I'm actually not sure when marsupials showed up on the scene. I know mammals, we had small mammals at the time of dinosaurs. I'm not sure when marsupials though. That's a really good question. I don't know much about the evolution of marsupials.
I'm not sure either. I know that there were early ones around dino time, but I don't know about before.
Cool. Grace, we got time for probably one more question, two more questions.
I don't have any more questions.
Okay. Christina, you got any more?
I just have some comments. Michael says, he's sad that we didn't include any Permian and Triassic non-dinos like Dimetrodon or Plastosuchus.
Yeah. Yes.
And yes, and Martin has commented that people need to know about megalania. Why aren't people talking about this?
Why are people not? So first of all, to address Michael. So Michael, I want to do an episode where we do all like pre-dino animals that include Dimetrodon and like the crocodile mimics and stuff. The ones that came in the weird time period just before the Triassic. So we're going to get to that, I promise. I also thought like we needed more than just like a minute or two to talk about Dimetrodon. So that's going to happen for sure.
And Haley and the Frogfish say, what about Tiktaalik, the ultimate Devonian animal? Tiktaalik is awesome.
Also true. I'm going to put
Look at it stay in the sun.
That list as well. There's only so many animals. Again, this wasn't like our top 10. These are ones that people said they wanted to talk about. So I guess it's our in the group top 10, but not like the most famous, the most important, even though the whole point of Dino 101 is to make you guys the most famous, the most important scientists ever to exist. Right?
Yeah.
All right. Christina, do you have any last final words before we bounce?
Oh boy, I'm going to be dreaming about that one kangaroo guy with the flat face. What's his name?
Oh, PROCOPTODON.
PROCOPTODON. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Just one more time, make sure that everyone's dreams are sufficiently haunted. Let's go to the picture. That is step one. And here you go. Waking up straight into that.
He knows something that we don't. And that's what I'm going to be ruminating on.
Yeah. It's like a pug. It's ugly cute.
Yes.
Exactly.
He's very cute.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been great. It's been very fun to talk about our not dino friends, even though we all know we love dinos even more than them, hence the necklace. But tomorrow, again, I'm very excited. We're going to have Dr. Carly Ann Lloyd, who's going to talk to us about comparative anatomy and comparative biology and biomechanics. Now we use certain animals that are alive today and the way they move to be able to make judgments or guesses or hypotheses about the way animals like THYLACOLEO, animals like literally all the ones we saw today, how they may have moved, even though many of them never lived alongside humans. So I do not care if you are reaching under your pillow to get a gun to shoot PROCOPTODON because it woke you up in the middle of the night, or simply scooping. Yeah, that was a wet. I don't know. You want me to start over? All right. I don't care if you're reaching under your pillow to get a face mask so that you don't have to look at PROCOPTODON when you wake up, or if you're scooping out avocado to make guacamole, that's a little bit better. Never stop digging. Listen, they can't all be gems.
That was good. You saved it.
As a geologist, you are correct.
Oh, listen, a broken clock is right twice a day. Happy Sunday. I'll see you guys tomorrow for comparative anatomy and biomechanics with Dr. Carly Ann York. Let's go. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.